And this will be coming to you here from Africa in Sports on the African Renaissance TV on a weekly basis, and to be coming away with more interesting programs. And
you don't have to close my program. You don't have to close my program.
Until you come here with Johnny.
It's another interesting episode here of Africa in Sport here on Africa Renaissance TV. Another game day, another exciting results that came in, from the Gambia Second Division League here again with me, Mohamed M. Sediba. We'll bring in you, of course, the happenings and the, GFF Second Division League. Here I have my, of course, the independent analyst of the show, Mr. Mohamed Bibaji. Welcome back.
Well, today should have been one of those days that I should have introduced you and then welcome you back. I mean, look. Well, we can talk about that later. But
yes, of course.
I am glad to be back here. I am. It's an honor to be here and to be engaging with our viewership and then the whole host of football. Stakeholders in the game. It has been an interesting part. But before I can shift back to you. Well, what do you have to say to my suit? This is not an ordinary suit that you have seen. It's that expensive.
You look great. You look great in the suit.
You should get me. You observe people around.
That's okay. You are looking really well. But then interesting happenings have been taking place in the second division league table. We've seen of course the reduction of should I say reduction? Well, Hawks were able to topple down, Harts Fc from the first place, and of course, Jarawes also, have sacked their head coach, Mr. Keba Sise, and also, there are interesting things that happen in the second division league. We'll be talking about that later on. But then, let's start with Harts. Of course, they are not able to maintain their first run. They have been doing very well since the beginning of the league. But then, we've seen recently they have not been doing, that quite well that they might want to be. So what do you have to say onto that?
Well, I wouldn't say, Hearts has done bad. They've because they have set a level so high that anything that is less than that, it becomes a failure from their side. Because we've come to get used to the fact that Hearts is that team that is gonna win games, and then in the worst case scenario is to draw. But then we've seen that in these past few games they've quite lost pace, and then they've been toppled, like you said, by Hawks and onto the summit of the league. And that is quite, well, it has left the league wide open now. The title is there for anyone to grab. And now everyone would now be fighting tooth and nail with Hawks. But not just Hawks. We have GPA behind them, Gambia Ports Authority, Gambia.Lions are still not also very far from that first position themselves. So it's going to be an interesting thing to do. And then I know Hearts, or what is happening behind in the background, and then a whole lot of that. But we can really look into that. It's going to be an interesting discussion today.
Indeed, it's going to be an interesting discussion, like you said. Like looking at the table, the second division is really interesting. Having 42, first 42, second 42, then third 39, 38, 36. Like the margin between them. How important is this for the Gambian football? As we are growing.
On a positive front, it's that competitive. Well, if you look into the world over, one of the reasons why the Premier League, for instance, is so-called one of the most.
I wouldn't agree to the so-called that you're using.
It is termed to be.
Let's agree that it is called.
It is relative. It is relative to who is really looking into that. But then when it comes to the second division, having such marginal point differences, especially at the summit of the table, and in fact, even when you look at the relegation threatened teams, there is also a marginal difference. That shows the tight competitive nature of the league now. And if it continues at this rate, we are going to see the same thing happening at the first division and then the third division. And that competition is really needed to take the boys to the next level. Definitely.
Yeah, that's quite a great one. The table, it's very important, for the league of the Gambian Football Federation. Of course, the Gambian football to develop, it should be epic in a way that we see the competitiveness of the league, especially in the second tier, because these are the teams that will qualify into the first division. And of course,
is that important?
It's very important.
So, when you look at what is really happening generally, the statistics that are behind the league, interesting. When you look at the overall statistics, this will tell, well, all the teams that are playing, especially in the second division, well, when you look at their home records, at a general level, the home records is barely 10% of a win rate, and then we have the away teams, well, teams playing away, well, their win rates are almost at 29%, and then but the draws of with neutral grounds and the draws on between teams has the higher percentage. So this shows that competitiveness. Now we don't have that high standard among between teams. When you look at let's say Hawks and then Harts, GPA, Gambia, Dutch Lions FC, you barely see a difference in them in terms of the quality they have. And to me, that is quality. That is important. That is needed for us to really take the next step.
Yes, but we also had an interview with the assistant head coach of course the Gambia, of course the Harts FC, and they still seems positive, and also they seems that they are not that much bothered about what is happening to the teams recently. What do you have to say to that interview?
That was one of my favorite points. I mean, in that interview, when I interviewed him in that very day at their games against Gambia Ports Authority, it's not just the assistant coach. This is the whole backroom staff, and then the players included. You can see it from their reactions. Well, they lost a point. I mean, they lost the whole points.
They lost 2 points.
And then 2 points to the game rather. But then you couldn't see that downwardness in them to say, well, we've lost the league. That relaxed attitude, and that is one of the most important attitudes you need in such a circumstance. Well, we've been on top of the league. Now we've dropped to second based on because we are equal on the same point. But then having to maintain that confidence, that composure would be an important experience for them going into the remaining games of the league.
Yes, we will have to watch that interview, and then we'll be back to continue on the discussion from there. Well, we take a look at that interview, and then we see the reaction of the assistant head coach of Harts FC, and then what he has to say on their performance recently. Mr. Korea on that.
Now, given that you were table toppers with over 9 points gap, I mean, what does that mean for you in the dressing room?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, this is a game. You call it a game. Alhamdulillah, we thank God we did not lose the game. At least we are going back with a 1 point. So we really thank God for that. Alhamdulillah.
Well, that is amazing, and best of luck to that. But then, will the rest of the league can now say, well, they have hope that they can also fight for the title, in fact, fight for the top position, given that you've barely lost at least some points gap in that. But how does that mean to the mentality of your players? I mean, in the dressing room now?
No, right now for us, I can say I am 100% sure that inshallah this race is not yet finished. Yeah, the race is not yet finished. No matter how the gaps are so tight, but we are trying so hard, to make sure we took this league, and then inshallah we're gonna repeat this. We're gonna win this league, inshallah, by the grace of God. We know that we have no pressure. We have no pressure, despite the fact that the gaps are so tight, so close to each other. We did not lose hope still now. Today's game, this is a credit for us. You can see our opponents; they are so disappointed, hoping that they're gonna win the game. So having a draw, is a big credit to us. Nonetheless, we are thanking God, Alhamdulillah. Yeah. The message I have for the fans is: let them just don't lose. Let them not lose hope. Let them just be behind us, all the time, and keep on encouraging us. We really appreciate their words, the encouragement words they normally give the team. We really appreciate it, and their efforts to coming all away from maybe Serakunda and other places. Coming here, watching the game. Is a very big motivation to us. We really thank God for it. Yeah, Alhamdulillah.
What has Harts done differently that is really giving them that edge? Do you think there is a singular difference that you can pinpoint, Ross, that is really making you stand out compared to other parts of the teams that are happening, especially in Jara West?
Jara West, I cannot say much about Jara West. This is football. Sometimes, teams normally go down, sometimes come up. So, but they are really, really doing their level best to come up, and then I wish them all the best for them to come up. Yeah, that's my take on that.
The assistant head coach of Harts FC right there, Mr. Korea. Now, looking at that interview, he seems, like I said earlier, they are positive, and then they are expecting more good results to come on their way, and then they are not that much bothered about all the happenings that are happening right now as far as their performance are concerned. Even though they are not losing, but then we've seen they are dropping points, and then that leads to them being toppled by Harts FC. Now, what do you have to say about his reaction towards the game?
It was quite an impressive one. I mean, as Korea, the assistant coach, like he put it. I mean, when you look at the games they've been losing in recently, I mean, they've lost points in. They've really not played bad, like he said. And then they were hit by injury at some point, but then they are one of those teams that really cope well with injuries. And like he said, now we have a whole squad back intact. They have a lot of people that are coming back from injuries, and then they are all available now for selection going to the next games. And also one important thing, like he said, going into the next games, the teams that they have now coming next, these are teams that they consider as winnable games, and this is why for them the race is still on. As far as they are concerned, is to keep their heads down. I mean, keep playing, taking it game at a time, one game at a time, and then they will get there. And surely, he said, the bigger picture for them, it's crossing into the first league, and this is an attainable ambition for them. Definitely.
Indeed, it's an attainable ambition for them. You know, looking at the way they play football, you know, they are teams that are, you know, they are well compacted together as a team, and then they play very well. But you know, not to spend more time there, we have a lot to discuss. Now, moving on, you know, GPA also, these are teams that are also, they have been doing very well since the beginning of you know, the second round of the league. You know, they've won most of their game, almost all of their game at the, you know, at Banjul. You know, but then looking at the game, you know, the penalty that were given to them, you know, it is, you know, scored like Harts FC fan, and then their players will say, so, you know, how do you call, how I don't know how to put it, but it's a questionable penalty that was given to them. You know, how crucial was it for them? You know, we've also had an interview, you know, a discussion with their head coach, and then, you know, the assistant head coach rather. He also, you know, gave his opinion on the, you know, their performance as far as Gambia Ports Authority is concerned. What do you have to say onto that game?
Well, it was an interesting game, because that game was it was more of a mental and a tactical battle than physically we were there to witness. And when you look at that, I mean, playing against Harts at that rate, knowing that, well, Harts is that team that is a killer team at that rate that they were coming along, beating every team that they had to face, every opponent that comes their way. But then GPA too had to step up, because when you look at the game properly, you know, okay, the possession was in favor of GPA, and then Harts, you know, tactically they are good in terms of their ball distribution. You have the likes of Sekuba and Fansu in that midfield role, and then their defensive players are steady in a while. But then I love the fact that GPA, we are not able to say, well, we are going to sit back to contain Harts. This is our ground. We are going to show them that we are in Banjul. And then they did that. They came out to play, and then they were able to come out with a point. And to them, it's an important thing. Any point they are able to accumulate to this rate is an important addition to them. And they are in a decent position in the league right now. So we are here with the assistant coach of the Gambia Ports Authority. The game has just drawn 1-1. Coach, what's your reaction to the game?
Yeah, to be honest, it's a very good, exciting game with high intensity as well. Harts is a very good team, but we prepare a lot for this game, because at the start of the second round, they were 10 points ahead of us. So before playing against them, we have the opportunity to minimize the points to 1 point. That was our aim and ambition towards this game. But coming into the game, they've scored first with a brilliant goal from their number 10. To be honest, he's a star, and he's a very good and great player. He can be a very good addition to the team, and we've come back stronger and create so many chances. With that, we happen to have a penalty, and we scored it and level on the game. And that.
In fact, Harts is no more leading the table. So, how does that make you feel as a team?
Yeah, it's a very good thing, because like for the league to be more competitive, to be honest, points should not be wider as the fans expected, and we have a huge chance to collect all 3 points, to minimize everything, and to know that we 1 point against Hart and 2 points against Hawks. But at the end of the day, that wasn't the scoreline. But we'll prepare ahead, because looking at the fixtures, we have so many home games. We play in only 3 away games. That's against Ouagadougou at Basori, and Elite at Basori, and the last game it's Jara West at Jarasoma. So all the rest of the 8 games we all playing here at the KG5. So it's a huge advantage for us, because we've trained at this park and we understand the park more than any other individual. So we expect the best, and we solely want to be top of the table before 5 games to go.
Has always been said that Ports, for instance, have an advantage. I mean, especially when playing the Banjul here, given that you've known the football pitch a lot. But then, is there also a risk of playing here in the pitch, looking at the pitch conditions for you? I mean, what is that posing a challenge to you, physical, especially to your players?
Yeah, to be honest, like the risk involved goes to all players. GPA training here and playing here doesn't mean that we will not have injuries. Injuries are onto the both teams. To be honest, the park is very terrible to play, but this is what we have and this is what we've seen. So it's, to be honest, there are so many teams giving us all the advantage that we've trained here. That's why we are not complaining, to be honest. Even if we play against a team and a player got injured, we are coaches. One day or the other, we might coach the same players. So to be honest, we will not be here like saying that the condition of the pitch favors us the most. No, to be honest, like this can cost knee ligament. And knee ligament surgery, to be honest, is very expensive. It's $99,000 in Senegal, the surgery. When you need to recover fully in 6 months, you need to have a package of $150,000, and that goes both to all teams, because no one can prevent injury and no one can know where injury are coming from. To be honest, we just need to manage at the stage that we are.
Well, definitely. Best of luck for the rest of the season, and then we hope to see you cross the line to go into the first division.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was the coach, assistant coach of Gambia Ports Authority.
Ici c'est la terre sainte, la patrie des dieux, bienvenue sur la terre-mère. Le nord, le sud, embrasse l'est et l'ouest, on vit le rêve en la tierra de nuestros abuelos. Você sabe que as crianças são futuro, trazendo esperança para a próxima geração. Et donc pour l'Afrique de Djibouti au Sénégal, comme bandit, tout ce que je veux c'est soulever le Graal. L'Afrique est belle, l'Afrique est jeune, l'Afrique est forte, enfant de la terre-mère, lève le poing et envoie-lui du love. Enfant de la terre-mère, lève le poing et envoie-lui du love.
Welcome back from that short commercials. Now, if you're just joining us, this is Africa in Sport here on Africa Renaissance TV Network. With me, Mohammed M. Seliba, of course, with the independent analyst of the show, Mr. Mohammed Bibaji. Welcome back.
I am here, and I'm glad to be back again.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for always joining us here to give us, of course, the in-depth analysis of the games of the Gambia Second Division League. Now, the games that played, James played on the 30th, on the first and on the second. Then the games that played on the 30th. On the Latrikunda played against Hawks on the 30th at Bakau, where Hawks were able to defeat Latrikunda in their home game, in their home ground at Bakau. And Gunjur also played against RS Talending, and then they were able to smash RS Talending 2-0. The Gambia Dutchland, of course, played against Jara West, where Gambia Dutchlands were able to beat them 1-0. Immigration also played against Medina. Well, this is an interesting one. Medina were able to beat Immigration 4-1. Now, before going into that, what do you have to say about that?
Well, it was an impressive result. I mean, I've said this before, that Medina is one of those stable teams that are really making their waves gradually coming, and that is important for a team. Well, if you are not able to be there to be one of the best in terms of points, in terms of goals, you should be able to know how you find your way on top of the table, and that's what they're simply doing. And now they have the backing of goals. They have,
indeed. They have two powerful strikers, Umar Boja and of course El Mendy. Where El Mendy scored 2 goals after coming off the bench, and of course GPA also played against Harts FC at Banjul on the 1st of May 2024, where they beat they all draw 1-1, and then Unique Global also played against BK Milan in the late Usman Saho football field, and then the results were 1-1, that is 1-1, and then Serekunda United also played against Kanefing East in Serekunda East mini park, where Kanefing East were able to beat them 1-0. Ouagadougou played against Jam City at the Basori, they drew 0-0, and then Serekunda FC, which was the last game, of course, played against Elias United at the late Usman Saho football field on the 2nd of May 2024. And then the results were 1-0 in favor of Elias United. Now, moving on, we have the team of the week, of the Gambia Football Federation Second Division League. This is the first of its kind, coming onto the Second Division. We've seen, the team of the week, coming out for the Gambian players, playing abroad. But then this is the first of its kind that, we have a team of the week for Gambian players playing within the source of the Gambia. And of course, onto the Second Division, this is the first of its kind. How impressive is this?
It's quite remarkable, because this is important. I mean, football has to go with statistics, football has to go with performance measure, football has to go with and the fanfare, the involvement, and then journalists, sport journalists, important contributors to this. And this is important for people because we really need to be able to see the output of what is happening. Footballers really put in efforts, really put in a lot of energy, team coaches, the proprietors, the communities. So all this has to be something that is stimulated and then be able to put out there as a result. And this presentation is that important in terms of showing that.
Indeed, we send our appreciations to all the sports, the sport journalists are there. They are doing really great work, to help in the advancement and of course the development of Gambian football. Now, moving on to the team of the week, we have of course Mamadou Ba of Harts as the team of the head coach of the week. How impressive is his performance in the last,
If there was any near perfect performance, from coach, it has always been, it would be Ba. He's been, his team has really played well when if you look at the last, not just last 3 games, in fact, the last 10 games, if you're looking at that, he's had one of the most impressive results in terms of positive results, not just accumulating 3 points per game, but then he's also been able to put the word out there through tactics, through information to his team, to be able to drive those goals and then shut down teams. So generally, well, however you put in this, well, he's at the top position deservedly, and then that is kudos to him. And then, this is something we really have to. He has to be proud of this, and it's important.
Well, Mamadou Ba, congratulations onto that. It has been a great performance for your team, and then this is of course it all comes down to the backroom staffs. They've been doing well, and then of course as the head of the backroom staff, Mamadou Ba, he is selected or nominated and voted as the head of the coach, head coach of the week, the head coach of Harts FC, Mr. Mamadou Ba. Now, moving on to the defense line, we have the fixtures as what's the fixtures again for the team of the week?
This is quite important. Well, this is the part where you really pass on the baton. I'll be able to handle this as smoothly as is possible over there. It's quite important. When you look at the teams, well, this week has been an impressive one in terms of goal. We've seen a whole lot of goals. We've seen a whole lot of goal scorers. And then when you look at, in fact, the goal scorers, not just strikers, you have a whole, well, the team has been, the week has been an impressive level when it comes to football in the Gambia, especially at the 2nd division. And this is why we decided to go with a 3-5-2 formation. It's that because we have seen a lot of performance, especially when it comes to the midfield. Well,
and of course,
some of them might not be natural midfielders, but then very good wingers who can easily track back into the midfield to play us that. And then, but it's that important. So maybe we go with the first, the defense, and we'll be able to understand why we come up with this.
Now let's move on to the defense line. We have 3 players in the defense line. One central midfielder, and then they're all central midfielders, I can say. But
it's
playing
quite important. when you have a 3-5-2 formation, it's that important because this is it's a tactical battle rather when you play in this formation. And a formation like this will really need somebody who has that speed when it comes to playing, and then being able to track and then being able to replace those fullbacks, wing backs when they really form part of that midfield. And this is what quite important, and that is why we have Baji for Jam City, quite an amazing right back. But then having him at the back 3 would really help, especially when it comes to the pace and then stability. And one of my favorite footballers and defenders in this country is in the 2nd division, and that is the captain of Kanifing is Suleiman Doi. I would always have him at as the central defender of the week. But then he's an amazing footballer, someone who is very steady in terms of his ball distribution is amazing, his communications and then leadership is that important. And then we'll have him on the left-hand side from that is Dumbia of the Gambia Dutch Lions. Well, he's an impressive captain.
He's indeed an impressive one.
He has had an impressive week. Not just that, but since he came on having to replace the first team captain, he's really made a very good defensive record for him. So I think these 3 would really make up any good team. So for the week they've been outstanding, definitely.
Indeed, they've been really outstanding. But then we've seen the likes of Suleiman Dao, of Kanifing East. They were able to win in the last week. Will you will you attribute that win to his performance?
Well, no. Well, he has always been a standard performer. I mean, Suleiman Ndoye, he's that stable footballer. But then the credit has to be to the coaching staff of Kanifing East, and then the team generally. They've played well. We've said this before, that East was one of those teams. It has not been conceding goals much. Their problem has always lied ahead
on scoring goals.
Scoring goals. So this is why if they're able to score 1-2 goals, they're able to defend them, and then he's a very important part in that regard.
That's great. Now moving on, we have Seydou Kasuge. Seydou Kasuge in the midfield.
Well, who would you better have there?
Indeed,
Kasuge, Seydou has been that mastermind that he has won virtually every duel he came, especially in the Jara West. He was one of the biggest problems for Jara West. Because, if you have that midfield six who lies ahead of a defense, and then he's that reliable, you give that confidence to the defense, and then the goalkeepers in fact are and then the attackers are free to attack. This is why the likes of Malang, Jallo are free to go, because they know, well, whatever ball we lose, there is someone who can always dispossess, break lines, and then in fact he plays well. He can in fact assist on goals. So indeed. That important.
He's indeed very good when it comes to defending. He's a great defensive midfielder, and then always we've seen Omar Cham relying on him as a midfielder to be able to win games. Now, the two attacking midfields in the formation, we have Ojon, of course, and then Diba of Harts Fc. Now Diba scored a goal against GPA, and then we have GPA, the two midfielders of GPA and then Harts, and then these are teams that play against each other. They play against each other.
Is that amazing? That is one.
This shows that the Gambia is blessed with talent when it comes to the midfield.
If you look at that, I mean, especially Diba, he's the number 10, of course. I mean, I know with Harts we have Sekuba as one of the best wings you can have in this country. But then for a playmaker, you will really need somebody of how do you call it, Diba's skill set. He can dribble past any player. His passing is accurate, and then in fact even with set pieces he's that good with it. But on that very day against GPA he had a really good game. But when you look at Jump to he's amazing. He's athletic. He's someone who fights for the team, and then but having him in that midfield where Kazuki becomes the baseline, it's going to be that balanced team. Yeah, so this is why with me, my favorite part is having these two. And then if you are to have Mendy of Medina, and then Kamara plays for Elite. these are people that they both scored important goals for their team. But then having them on the wing is that important, because they are naturally wingers by trade, and then Mendy rather could always be that attacker. But then if you have that wing as that part of the five-man team, five-man midfield rather, so he's able to contribute to the attack, and he's always able to provide width in terms of when they are in possession, which is quite really important.
Indeed, it's quite really important. Especially now, you've touched the two wingers that are there. That is Mendy, and then Mendy, of course, of Medina, and of course Kamara of Elite United. They both score goals, like you said. But Mendy scored 2 goals for Elite, coming from the bench. Only in the second the second half of the game, he scored 2 goals.
Well, this is why one of the reasons why he's also very deserving of it. But you could have had a whole lot of options, especially on the left wing. It was that tight. I mean, to really come up the idea of that. So this is why most people really went for him, because the goals were that important. But then aside the goals, his performance level was that good, and that is what is quite important. And this would also contribute to his confidence going into the next round.
Looking at most of the games that Mendy played, he's always as a backup. He's always at the substitution for Umar Boja. Umar Boja is always the striker that is started. But then we've seen anytime he comes off from the bench, it's mostly a goal. Yeah. Now moving on, we have Ewali, and then Jata. Wali of Harts FC, and of course Jata of Gunjur as the points, the strikers of the the formation.
Well, with this team, I'm sure whatever team you're going to bring against them, well, goals wouldn't be a problem, because we have a team full of
goal scorers.
4 or 5 players that have really scored very important goals, and then they are natural goal scorers in their own right. And when you look at Wali, for instance, Hawks, you know where Hawks is. If Hawks is on the top of the league, one of somebody that would credit has to be given to right now in terms of goals would have to be Wali. He's one of those that are really fighting for the golden boot for the league, and that is quite amazing. But then not just him, Jata, Gunjur, Gunjur, we've said this, on the first round they were having issues in terms of scoring goals and defending them, but now they've turned the tides. They are winning games per game, and that is important. So this is why having someone like Jata, Jata is someone you can always play on both, not just as a striker, but he can also play on the flank. So this is why having him to partner with Wali could always provide that necessary balance in the team. So I think this team can play against any team. And
now the final one, that is the goalkeeper. We have the goalkeeper of Harts Fc as the the goalkeeper of the week. And then he did very well. He has always been doing well. He played most of the games that Harts play. And then we've said it here. Harts, when it comes to the midfield, they are one of the best. But when it comes to the goalkeeping, also the goalkeeping department, because they concede goals, but then they are able to score goals. But then they've been able to manage to draw most of their games. But then this game that we've seen, they didn't concede any goal, and then their goalkeeper happens to be the goalkeeper of the week.
Well, not conceding goal is one thing, but then being able to provide necessary saves in a game sometimes becomes more important.
It's more important,
and then
definitely.
That goalkeeper that you can really communicate with his backline, his defense, is that important. And then this is someone who really is that vocal in terms of communication, and we've seen how important he is. And then these are people that you will really need in the dressing room for a team. So I think he would be deserved with this. And then if he continues this way, well, I'm not quite sure the number of clean sheets he has accumulated up to this point, but then he will really be an important component in the fight for that.
Indeed, Mohamed Gassama of Harts FC as the the goalkeeper of the week. That will lead us to, of course, to we move on to having some. We have some interviews that we've not watched. I think we go on to those interviews and see what some of the things that the coaches and then of course assistant head coaches have to say. We have interview with, of course, the assistant head coach of the Gambia Lions. That is Mr. Chati. Chati also he is positive, and then he believes they still can can dominate some of the games that they are left with, and then leading them to the qualification of the first division of the Gambia Football Federation League.
Well, Chati, if you know Chati is one of those few coaches in the country who are really lucky to have been very good footballers themselves, and so it's
famously called Drogba.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure how he is able to translate some of those skills to some of these attackers like the likes of Jallo or Malang, but then is that important? I mean, for a team, like he said. When you look at Gambia Lions, we've said this before, but then now it has to be that consistent performance. They've been having good results against Jara West. The game was theirs to lose. I mean, they had that advantage in terms of confidence, in terms of league position, that they were able to put up a fight to score one goal, and then but they could have had more. So to him, but this is what he's saying, that the injury level is not much now. They have players that have recovered back, and then the whole squad is now available. I mean, and that is all that they will need to fight for this position. And then they are having a bigger goal. It's not just to be crowned champions, but then how do they really push forward to the qualifications to the first division? Right.
Of course. Now, let's watch that interview, and then, we'll be right back to continue the discussion from here.
Well, yes, so we are here with the assistant coach. Coach, what do you have to say to the game today? You've won 1-0, and then it's another 3 points in the bag for the title chasing.
Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah, we have collected the maximum points. That is what is most important for now. Yes, because as we are fighting for the promotion, every game should be a win-win situation. No matter the scoreline, what is most important first is the 3 points.
Definitely, the 3 points is that important. But then if you have to go into a tactical discussion here, what would you say went well for you tactically?
Tactically is the train ground tactics, because if you see the goal, this is the second time the said player Malang Fofana have been doing it consecutively, and we have been training it. I'm the set piece specialist trainer, so I'm very much happy.
Congrats on that. That's a good one. But then going forward, I mean, this is a team that has strength, and we've seen key players have not in fact started, but then the game went well for you. How important is that for the title chase? I mean, having the likes of Badamosi, coming in the last minute. How important is that for the strength of the team?
That is the compactness of the team. Every individual is ready. Whosoever is given the chance at any time, at any moment, will definitely pay the dividends. So there is no starter, there is no first player or second choice player. They are all starters. Depending on the game, we take games according to our opponents.
Well, I don't intend to keep you here, but I'll have asked this last question. I mean, we've seen Harts is on top of the league. I mean, what spirit is within the team to say to Harts? Are you going for them, or then you are settling for a second or a third position?
For now, we are not thinking of Harts. We're just thinking on our next opponents. That is going to be taking game by game until we meet with Harts. The intention is just to qualify.
That was Chati, the assistant head coach of course, the Gambia.Lion FC. Like I said, this program is brought to you, of course, by the Gambia.Lion Consortium. And then, Gambia.Lion is, of course, playing on their trade in the second division of the Gambia Football Federation League. Now, just to give you a recap of the team of the week, that we have here. And then, this has been nominated and voted by, of course, journalists that are, that are doing great work for the Gambia football in the, in all trades. That is the first and then the second tier. Now the head coach that is being nominated and then voted as the head coach of the week is Momo Ba of Harts FC. And then Hawks, like we said, they sit first on the table, toppling down, of course, the Harts FC. Now we have the goalkeeper as Mohamed Gassama, the goalkeeper of Hawks. The three defensive players that we have here. We have Jibrin Dubia, the captain of Gambia.Lion. Suleiman Dow of Kanefing East, Baji of Jam City. Kazuke as the midfielder, the central midfield there. And then we have the defensive midfield there. We have also, John and, of course, under Diba of Harts, and then GPA respectively. We have El Mendy of Medina and Kamara as the two wingers, and then of course we have Ewali of Hawks and then Jata of Gunjur as the the two strikers that are out there. Now this is the team of the week, and then we're expecting to bring you more of these in the coming weeks to come. We'll be giving you the team of the week, of course the players of the month, of course the team of the month. We'll be giving it to you from the second division league. Now this is something that is important for the Gambia football development and advancement. Come on, partner, come on, give the sponsorship, support the young boys, support the players for the advancement of the Gambia football in general. We want to qualify to more AFCONs, we want to qualify for more World Cups, and we want to qualify for more international games. But then this has to start from the grassroots. We have to support the grassroots football. We have to support the that league that we have here in order to reach to that level, because these are the players that are going to represent us out there. These are the players that are going to be playing out there. And then we have to come and support them, come and invest, come and support the Africa in sport here, partner with us, and then we will be able to bring you more details, more support to the young boys that are playing out there. This has been of course Africa in sport. Till we come your way next time. But then before that, you can give your closing remarks. Today I will know.
You can stop. I can take it from there. Well, I am here. I am very glad to have been on this seat here to discuss on this. The second division is that important element for us, especially when it comes to sports development in the Gambia. We've mentioned a whole lot of good things, a whole lot of challenges that we can, as a country, must look deep inside to proper solutions. So this includes the sports infrastructure, especially on the football fields. We've mentioned the KG5s, the Jaraways, and all of the football pitches around the country. And for the sake of football health and then good competition, that is important, Silva, not to forget. And then, like you said, these programs of this type, we are really open to sponsorship and partnerships from a range of investors, a range of stakeholders. We can have that. But then one of my favorite things to also put out there is that when you look at the team of the week, we have contacts that are shared that you can always be a part of, not just the sport journalists, football fans all over the country, football fans within the league can also put in their contributions, say their minds, and also give their very important contributions to have that. So, and this will be coming to you here from Africa in Sports on the African Renaissance TV on a weekly basis, and to be coming away with more interesting programs. And
you don't have to close my program. You don't have to close my program. I will stop inviting you as a
Mohamed Bibaji, and he is Mohamed M. Sediba. Until then, bye for now.
Bye from here.
Ici c'est la terre sainte, la patrie des dieux, bienvenue sur la terre-mère. Le nord, le sud, embrasse l'est et l'ouest, on vit le rêve
estamos en la tierra de nuestros abuelos.
Você sabe que as crianças são futuro, trazendo esperança para a próxima geração.
On donne tout pour l'Afrique, de Djibouti au Sénégal. Comme bandit, tout ce que je veux c'est soulever le Graal. L'Afrique est belle, l'Afrique est jeune, l'Afrique est forte. Enfant de la terre-mère, lève-toi et envoie du love. Enfant de la terre-mère, lève-toi et envoie du love. What